Let us start with a question that might make you uncomfortable. What was the very first thing you did this morning? After waking up? Before coffee, before breakfast, before anything else? Did you open a cabinet, pull out a row of supplement bottles, and swallow a handful of capsules on an empty stomach? If you did, you are not alone. Hundreds of millions of people around the world do exactly this every single morning. And most of them believe, genuinely and sincerely, that they are doing something good for their bodies. Today's video is going to challenge that belief. Not to frighten you, and not to tell you that supplements are bad. They are not bad. Used correctly, many supplements offer real, measurable, well-documented health benefits. But used incorrectly, and specifically taken on an empty stomach, several of the most popular supplements on the market today are capable of causing serious, progressive, and in some cases, irreversible damage to two of the most essential organs in your body: your liver and your kidneys. The clinical evidence for this is not obscure or theoretical. Major hepatology centers and nephrology departments around the world have been reporting a disturbing trend for more than a decade. Patients are arriving with unexplained liver enzyme elevations, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, kidney stones, and declining kidney function. Patients who do not drink, do not smoke, eat reasonably well, and take no prescription drugs. When investigators look carefully at what these patients have in common, one factor appears again and again: long-term, daily consumption of multiple supplements on an empty stomach. In one large-scale analysis of drug-induced liver injury cases, the proportion caused not by prescription medications, but by dietary supplements and herbal products, rose from approximately 7% in 2004 to over 20% in recent years. That is a nearly threefold increase in less than 2 decades. The supplements implicated most frequently include fat-soluble vitamins at high doses, concentrated herbal extracts, high dose, zinc, high-dose vitamin C, and iron supplements taken without food. These are products that most people consider completely safe. Products that are sold without a prescription in every pharmacy and grocery store. Products that carry health claims on their labels and are endorsed by wellness influencers across every social media platform. What is happening here? Why are supplements that are supposed to support your health damaging your organs instead? The answer requires understanding two things: what your liver and kidneys actually do, and what the fasted, empty stomach state does to the way your body processes everything you put into it. Your liver is the largest internal organ in your body, weighing between 1.4 and 1.6 kilograms in a healthy adult. Everything you absorb from your digestive tract, every nutrient, every compound, every molecule that passes through your intestinal wall, travels first through the portal vein directly to your liver, before reaching the rest of your body. This is called first-pass metabolism, and it exists precisely because the liver is your body's primary processing and detoxification center. The liver performs over 500 distinct functions, but for our purposes today, the most critical ones are nutrient processing, storage, and detoxification. The detoxification function works in 2 stages, called Phase 1 and Phase 2 metabolism. In Phase 1, the liver's cytochrome P450 enzyme family chemically modifies incoming compounds, often creating reactive intermediate metabolites in the process. In Phase 2, these intermediates are attached to carrier molecules that make them water-soluble and ready for excretion through bile or urine. The critical point is that this system has a finite capacity. When the volume or concentration of compounds arriving at the liver exceeds its processing capacity, 2 dangerous things can happen. First, toxic intermediate metabolites from Phase 1 can accumulate in liver cells before Phase 2 can neutralize them, directly damaging hepatocytes. Second, certain compounds can saturate the transport proteins that normally keep them bound and safe, causing free, unbound molecules to accumulate in liver tissue, where they disrupt cell membrane integrity and mitochondrial function. Your kidneys are 2 bean-shaped organs, each weighing about 150 grams, positioned on either side of your spine. Every day, your kidneys filter approximately 180 to 200 liters of blood, reabsorbing over 99% of the filtrate, and excreting approximately 1.5 to 2 liters as urine. Beyond filtration, your kidneys regulate electrolyte balance, control blood pressure, produce erythropoietin to stimulate red blood cell production, and activate vitamin D. Each kidney contains approximately 1 million functional units called nephrons. When nephrons are damaged, they do not regenerate. Lost nephrons are gone permanently. This is why kidney damage is so insidious. You can lose 30 to 50% of your kidney function before standard blood tests show anything outside the normal range. There are usually no symptoms until the damage is already substantial. Now let us talk about what the fasted state specifically does to the way your body handles supplements. Because this is where the danger becomes concrete and actionable. When you have not eaten for 6 hours or more, several important physiological conditions are in place simultaneously. Your blood sugar is low. Bile production and secretion from your gallbladder is at its minimum. Digestive enzyme secretion is suppressed. Your gastric mucosa, the lining of your stomach, is exposed and unprotected by any food buffer. And your intestinal surface area is primed for rapid, highly efficient absorption with no competing molecules present to slow anything down. Into this state, you introduce a handful of supplements. What happens next depends on which supplements you have taken. But the general pattern is concerning regardless. With nothing else in your stomach, supplements move through to the small intestine rapidly. The small intestine, primed for absorption and unoccupied by food, absorbs what it can with unusual speed and efficiency. A concentrated bolus of whatever compounds were in your supplements arrives at your liver through the portal vein in a very short window of time. Your liver, which is also in a metabolically quieter fasted state, suddenly receives a large, concentrated load of compounds to process. Whether those compounds are fat-soluble vitamins, herbal extracts, minerals, or antioxidants. The rapid concentrated delivery creates conditions that increase the probability of processing overload, toxic intermediate accumulation, and direct cellular damage. Let us go through the most important supplements, one by one, and examine exactly how each one causes harm when taken without food. This is the core of what you need to understand to protect yourself going forward. Vitamin A is the fat-soluble vitamin with the most clearly established toxicity profile. It is essential for vision, immune function, and cell differentiation. But it accumulates in the liver and in adipose tissue because the body has no efficient way to excrete excess amounts. Under normal circumstances, the liver stores vitamin A bound to retinol-binding protein, which keeps it sequestered and controlled. When vitamin A intake exceeds the liver's storage and binding capacity, free retinol accumulates within hepatocytes. Free retinol has direct membrane-disrupting properties. It inserts into cell membranes and mitochondrial membranes, compromising their structural integrity and triggering inflammatory responses. The long-term result is hepatic fibrosis, a scarring process that progressively reduces liver function. In severe cases, this advances to cirrhosis. Taking vitamin A supplements on an empty stomach accelerates this process because without dietary fat present, bile secretion is minimal. The normal competitive absorption dynamics that would regulate uptake are absent, and the concentrated dose moves to the liver quickly and intact. Clinical studies comparing blood retinol levels after fasted versus fed vitamin A supplementation found that the fasted group achieved peak plasma levels, averaging 47% higher than the fed group on the same dose. That 47% difference is a direct measure of additional hepatic burden. Vitamin D has become perhaps the most widely consumed supplement in the world. Over the past 15 years, the evidence supporting its importance for immune function, bone health, and cardiovascular protection is real and substantial. But vitamin D is also a fat-soluble vitamin with genuine toxicity potential. The primary mechanism of vitamin D toxicity is hypercalcemia. Vitamin D stimulates intestinal calcium absorption, and when vitamin D levels become excessively elevated, blood calcium rises to dangerous levels. Excess calcium deposits in kidney tubules, a condition called nephrocalcinosis, which can cause permanent renal function impairment. Vitamin D toxicity is particularly insidious because it typically develops without symptoms until blood levels have been elevated for a prolonged period. The toxicity threshold is generally defined as a 250H vitamin D level above 150 nanomoles per liter. But many people supplementing with high-dose vitamin D have never had their blood levels tested. A study following individuals who took high-dose vitamin D supplements on an empty stomach for 6 months found an average 11% reduction in estimated glomerular filtration rate, which is the standard measure of kidney function, compared to those who took the same dose with a fatty meal. 11% is a meaningful, clinically significant reduction. It represents real nephron loss. And there is a second problem with taking vitamin D on an empty stomach. Absorption is dramatically impaired without dietary fat. Research has shown that vitamin D absorption from supplements taken in a fasted state can be up to 50% lower than when taken with a fat-containing meal. You are simultaneously harming your kidneys and wasting your money. Vitamin E at high doses presents a different but related danger. This fat-soluble antioxidant is critically important for cell membrane protection, but at pharmacological doses, meaning doses far above what you would obtain from food, it can paradoxically switch from antioxidant to pro-oxidant. In the liver, high-dose vitamin E generates quinone metabolites that can impair mitochondrial electron transport and induce hepatocyte apoptosis. This effect is amplified when vitamin E is absorbed rapidly in the absence of food, because the concentrated metabolite load arrives at the liver before the normal cellular defense mechanisms can respond adequately. High-dose vitamin E also inhibits blood coagulation, which creates bleeding risk and can cause dangerous interactions with anticoagulant medications. High-dose vitamin C is perhaps the supplement people feel most confident about taking on an empty stomach, because its water-soluble nature means excess is excreted in urine. This is true up to a point, but at doses above approximately 1,000 milligrams per day, a portion of the excess vitamin C is metabolized to oxalic acid. Oxalic acid combines with calcium in the kidney to form calcium oxalate crystals, the most common component of kidney stones. Studies have found that men who regularly consume more than 1,000 milligrams of supplemental vitamin C daily have approximately 34% higher risk of developing kidney stones compared to those who do not. The risk is substantially higher in people who have already experienced kidney stones, in those with reduced kidney function, and in those who are chronically dehydrated. Taking high-dose vitamin C on an empty stomach adds another layer of harm. The strong acidity of ascorbic acid in direct contact with unprotected gastric mucosa causes direct chemical irritation, potentially progressing to gastritis or ulceration with repeated exposure. Iron supplements deserve particular attention because they combine direct gastrointestinal toxicity with a well-understood oxidative mechanism of liver damage. Iron is a powerful pro-oxidant metal. Through a reaction called the Fenton reaction, ferrous iron converts hydrogen peroxide into hydroxyl radicals, among the most reactive and destructive free radicals in biological systems. These radicals attack DNA, lipid membranes, and proteins indiscriminately. When iron supplements are taken on an empty stomach, without food to provide a buffering matrix, the concentrated iron load encounters the gastric and intestinal mucosa directly. The resulting oxidative damage produces symptoms ranging from cramping and nausea to dark stools. In the long term, chronic iron overload causes hemosiderosis and then hemochromatosis in liver tissue, progressive fibrosis that can advance to cirrhosis. Iron supplementation should never be undertaken without confirmed deficiency. From blood testing, should always be taken with a small amount of food, and should be discontinued immediately once iron stores are restored to normal. Zinc, which has seen enormous growth in consumption since the early 2020s, due to its immune-supporting properties, creates two distinct problems when taken in excess, and especially when taken on an empty stomach. First, zinc and copper use the same intestinal absorption pathway, mediated by the transport protein metallothionein. When zinc is present in large amounts, it competitively displaces copper, severely impairing copper absorption. Copper deficiency causes anemia, peripheral neuropathy, and bone loss. conditions that can develop silently over months of zinc oversupplementation. Second, high-dose zinc taken on an empty stomach triggers intense nausea and vomiting in a significant proportion of users, a response caused by zinc's direct activation of zinc-dependent enzymes in the gastric mucosa at concentrations that exceed physiological norms. Beyond these gastrointestinal effects, sustained high-dose zinc intake impairs the function of copper-dependent liver enzymes, including superoxide dismutase, effectively reducing the liver's antioxidant defense capacity. Zinc should be taken at no more than 15 to 30 milligrams per day. Always with food, and if taken long-term, should be balanced with small amounts of copper supplementation, taken at a different time of day to avoid competitive absorption. Omega-3 fatty acid supplements are among the safest options available, but they are significantly less effective and more uncomfortable when taken without food. Because omega-3s are lipids, their digestion and absorption depend entirely on bile secretion from the gallbladder. In the fasted state, bile release is minimal, and the absorption of EPA and DHA from fish oil supplements drops dramatically. Research comparing fed versus fasted omega-3 absorption found that taking fish oil supplements with a fat-containing meal increased EPA and DHA bioavailability by up to 73%. Compared to fasted administration, the fish oil burping and nausea that many people experience, and which leads many to abandon omega-3 supplementation, is almost entirely a result of taking these supplements without food. The free fatty acids from fish oil, encountering an empty stomach lining, directly irritate the mucosa. The solution is simple: always take omega-3 supplements with your largest meal of the day. Herbal and botanical supplements represent the fastest growing category of supplement-related liver injury. The perception that natural origin guarantees safety is one of the most persistent and dangerous misconceptions in consumer health. Many of the most powerful pharmaceutical compounds in history are derived from plants. The toxicity of a compound is determined by its chemistry and its dose, not by whether it came from a laboratory or a forest. Green tea extract is a case study in how a beneficial food can become dangerous as a concentrated supplement. Green tea consumed as a beverage is genuinely health-promoting, delivering polyphenols and EGCG in amounts that have been associated with reduced cardiovascular disease risk and improved metabolic health in large epidemiological studies. But a single capsule of green tea extract can contain as much EGCG as 50 or more cups of tea. When this concentrated dose reaches the liver in the fasted state, the hepatocytes are exposed to an EGCG concentration that exceeds their processing capacity. Animal and cell studies have consistently shown that high concentration EGCG is directly toxic to liver cells, impairing mitochondrial function and triggering cell death. Human clinical cases of green tea extract-induced liver injury have been documented extensively. A comprehensive safety review by European Food Safety authorities concluded that green tea extract supplements should never be taken on an empty stomach. Reported clinical cases include ALT and AST elevations to more than 10 times the upper limit of normal following fasted green tea extract supplementation. Curcumin supplements, derived from turmeric, present a nuanced risk profile that depends heavily on formulation and timing. Standard curcumin has very poor bioavailability, so manufacturers have developed enhanced absorption formulations using piperine from black pepper, phospholipid complexes, or nanoparticle technology. These formulations can increase curcumin bioavailability by factors of 10 to 100 compared to standard curcumin. This dramatic increase in bioavailability creates a corresponding increase in hepatic processing demand. Curcumin is metabolized extensively in the liver by the 450 cypriot-pounds enzyme family, and at high concentrations it both inhibits and induces specific CYP enzymes in ways that can alter the metabolism of numerous co-administered drugs. Statins, anticoagulants, immunosuppressants, diabetes medications, and many other common prescription drugs are processed by the same CYP enzymes affected by curcumin. If you are taking any prescription medication, taking a high bioavailability curcumin supplement especially on an empty stomach, could meaningfully alter your drug levels without your knowing it. Milk thistle is used specifically for liver support, which makes the concept of it causing liver harm seem paradoxical. The active constituent silymarin does have hepatoprotective properties that are reasonably well supported by evidence. But silymarin, like other plant polyphenols, is better handled by the liver when absorbed gradually alongside food. Fasted consumption of milk thistle extract produces a more rapid and concentrated hepatic delivery that can overwhelm the normal processing capacity, even for a compound that is, at appropriate doses and timing, beneficial. Milk thistle is best taken in divided doses, 2 or 3 times daily with meals, rather than as a single large fasted dose. Understanding the damage is important, but understanding how to fix the problem and build a genuinely protective supplement protocol is what will actually change your health outcomes. Let us move into the practical solution. The foundational principle is straightforward: almost every supplement is better absorbed, better tolerated, and less likely to cause harm when taken with food. The food provides a physical and chemical buffer that slows gastric emptying, stimulates bile secretion, activates digestive enzymes, introduces competing molecules that moderate absorption rates, and coats the gastric and intestinal mucosa with a protective layer before concentrated compounds arrive. This is not a complicated concept, but implementing it correctly requires understanding which supplements go with which meals and why. Fat-soluble vitamins, meaning vitamins A, D, E, and K, must be taken with a fat-containing meal without exception. Their absorption is physically dependent on the presence of dietary fat, because fat is required to stimulate bile release, which is required to create the micellar structures that carry fat-soluble compounds across the intestinal wall. The ideal meal to pair with fat-soluble vitamins includes sources of healthy fat such as eggs, avocado, olive oil, nuts, or oily fish. Vitamin D is best taken with breakfast or lunch rather than dinner, because of evidence suggesting it may interact with the cortisol rhythm in ways that can impair sleep quality when taken in the evening. Vitamin A supplementation should be restricted to beta-carotene forms whenever possible, since beta-carotene is converted to vitamin A only as needed, dramatically reducing toxicity risk compared to preformed retinol. Water-soluble vitamins including vitamin C and the B vitamins should also be taken with meals, even though the rationale is somewhat different from fat-soluble vitamins. The primary reasons are gastric protection for vitamin C, since its acidity is directly irritating to an unprotected gastric lining, and improved bioavailability for B vitamins, since several B vitamins require cofactors present in food for optimal absorption. High-dose vitamin C should be split across at least 2 doses per day, rather than taken all at once, to reduce the oxalic acid burden on the kidneys, and to minimize the gastric acid exposure at any single administration. Anyone with a history of kidney stones or reduced kidney function should limit supplemental vitamin C to no more than 500 mg daily, and should discuss even this with their physician. Vitamin B6 deserves a specific caution that many people are unaware of. At doses above 100 mg per day, taken long-term, vitamin B6 can cause peripheral sensory neuropathy, a form of nerve damage that produces tingling, numbness, and pain in the extremities. This is not theoretical. Multiple clinical cases have been documented, and regulatory agencies in several countries have issued warnings. Many B-complex supplements and multivitamins contain B6 at levels that approach or exceed this threshold, and people sometimes take additional standalone B6 supplements on top of that. Check your supplement labels and keep your total daily B6 intake well below 100 mg, unless a physician is monitoring for specific conditions that require higher therapeutic doses. Iron supplements should be taken with a small amount of food, but not with the same meal as calcium supplements, magnesium supplements, coffee, or tea, all of which significantly impair iron absorption. A small snack of a few crackers, combined with 100 mg of vitamin C, enhances iron absorption substantially while providing enough of a gastric buffer to reduce oxidative mucosal damage. Iron supplementation should only be continued as long as blood Testing confirms deficiency. Once iron stores, measured as serum ferritin, return to normal range, discontinue supplementation. Iron overload is at least as harmful as iron deficiency. For zinc, take no more than 15 to 30 milligrams daily with food. If you take zinc regularly for more than 2 to 3 months, add 1 to 2 milligrams of copper supplementation per day, but take it at a different meal from the zinc. To avoid competitive absorption antagonism, monitor your energy levels and have periodic blood tests to check for signs of copper deficiency, which include fatigue, paleness, and balance problems. Probiotics have been the subject of genuine scientific debate regarding optimal timing. The most recent evidence suggests that probiotics survive gastric transit at higher rates when taken immediately before or during a meal rather than on an empty stomach, because food temporarily raises gastric pH, providing a window of protection for the live bacteria. A meal containing some fat appears to be particularly beneficial for probiotic survival. This means the common advice to take probiotics first thing in the morning on an empty stomach for maximum effect is probably incorrect based on current evidence. Let us now talk about the specific warning signs that your liver or kidneys may be under stress from supplement use. Because early detection makes an enormous difference in outcomes, many people have never been told what symptoms to watch for, and because both of these organs can sustain significant damage before producing noticeable symptoms, knowing the subtle early signals is genuinely valuable. Liver stress and early liver injury often manifest as a cluster of vague, nonspecific symptoms that are easy to dismiss. Unexplained fatigue that is worst in the morning and does not improve with sleep is one of the most consistent early findings. Reduced appetite, particularly a loss of interest in fatty foods that the liver processes, is another common early sign. A dull, persistent ache or sensation of pressure in the upper right abdomen, just beneath the right rib cage, can indicate hepatic inflammation and swelling. Skin that develops unusual itchiness without an obvious cause may reflect impaired bile processing, since bile salts that accumulate in the blood cause characteristic pruritus. Urine that becomes persistently darker than normal, taking on a tea-colored or amber appearance, may reflect elevated bilirubin, a breakdown product of red blood cells that the damaged liver is processing inefficiently. If you develop yellowing of the skin or the whites of the eyes, this is jaundice, indicating significant hepatic dysfunction, and requires immediate medical evaluation. Kidney stress presents differently. Swelling in the feet, ankles, or around the eyes upon waking, reflecting the kidney's inability to excrete fluid efficiently, is an important early sign. Persistent foamy or frothy urine that does not clear quickly indicates proteinuria, meaning protein is being lost through the kidneys rather than retained in the blood where it belongs. A normal urine stream should produce brief bubbles that dissipate within seconds. Foam that lingers for 30 seconds or more warrants investigation. Changes in urination frequency or volume, either significantly less or significantly more than your normal pattern, can reflect altered kidney regulation. Flank pain, meaning pain in the sides of your back below the rib cage, can indicate either kidney inflammation, a kidney stone lodged in the ureter, or kidney infection. Cognitive changes including difficulty concentrating and unusual fatigue may reflect uremia, the accumulation of waste products in the blood that healthy kidneys would normally eliminate. If you have been taking multiple supplements on an empty stomach for 6 months or more, particularly if you have been taking fat-soluble vitamins, herbal extracts, or high-dose minerals, scheduling a comprehensive blood panel is a prudent and important step. The panel should include ALT, AST, alkaline, phosphatase, and gamma-GT for liver function, along with serum creatinine, blood urea nitrogen, and EGFR for kidney function. A urine dipstick test checking for protein and blood is inexpensive and can detect early kidney changes before blood tests show abnormalities. If you currently have a physician you see regularly, this is a straightforward conversation to initiate at your next visit. Now let us talk about how to build a supplement protocol that is both effective and genuinely safe. The starting point is a principle that sounds obvious once stated, but that most supplement users have never applied. Before supplementing anything, confirm that you are actually deficient in it. Blood testing for key nutritional markers has become relatively inexpensive and widely accessible. Testing your 2,5-OH vitamin D, complete blood count for iron and B12 status, serum, zinc and copper, basic metabolic panel for kidney function, and electrolytes and lipid panel provides a comprehensive baseline that allows you to supplement with specificity rather than guessing. When you know your vitamin D level is 42 nanomoles per liter, you know you need vitamin D supplementation, and you can track your progress toward the optimal range. When you know your vitamin D is already at 110 nanomoles per liter, you know that additional supplementation carries risk without benefit. The second principle is to minimize the number of supplements you take simultaneously. Each supplement your liver must process competes for enzyme capacity with every other supplement, and any medications you take. The interactions between supplements are complex, numerous, and largely untested in combination. Every additional supplement you add increases the complexity of what your liver must manage and raises the probability of an adverse interaction. Experts in clinical nutrition generally recommend limiting simultaneous supplementation to 3 to 5 products for healthy adults, without specific medical conditions requiring more. The third principle is to use cycling. Most supplements were not designed to be taken continuously, every day without breaks. Taking an 8 to 12-week course of a supplement, followed by a 2 to 4-week break, gives your liver time to clear accumulated fat-soluble compounds, reduces the risk of reaching toxic accumulation thresholds, and allows your body's own regulatory systems to reassert themselves. This cycling approach is especially important for fat-soluble vitamins, herbal extracts, and minerals with narrow safety margins. Here is a practical, meal-timed supplement schedule based on the principles we have discussed. You can adapt this framework to your specific supplement needs, but the structural logic should remain constant. With breakfast, which should contain healthy fats, take your fat-soluble vitamins, including vitamins D and K, along with your B-complex vitamins, and any omega-3 supplements. The fat in breakfast, whether from eggs, avocado, nut butter, or olive oil, stimulates bile release and provides the absorption environment that fat-soluble vitamins require. B vitamins taken with breakfast support energy metabolism throughout the day, and their water solubility means any excess will be cleared by mid-afternoon. With lunch, take your vitamin C, divided from the morning dose. If you are taking higher amounts, and any zinc supplement, vitamin C taken midday with food is well tolerated and its antioxidant activity complements the micronutrient content of a mixed meal. With dinner, take any remaining omega-3 dose, since absorption is maximized with the largest fat-containing meal of the day for most people. At bedtime, take magnesium glycinate or magnesium malate. Magnesium's muscle-relaxing and nervous system calming properties make it an ideal bedtime supplement, and taking it separately from your other minerals avoids competitive absorption issues. Avoid magnesium oxide, which has low bioavailability and a high likelihood of causing diarrhea. There are several specific interactions between common supplements that are important enough to address directly, because getting them wrong can either waste your money or actively harm you. Calcium and iron should never be taken in the same sitting. Calcium dramatically suppresses iron absorption when they compete in the same intestinal environment. If you take both, separate them by at least 4 hours. The same applies to calcium and zinc, which compete through similar mechanisms. Vitamin D and vitamin K2 work synergistically and should ideally be taken together. Vitamin D increases calcium absorption from the gut, and vitamin K2 directs that calcium into bone, rather than allowing it to deposit in arteries and soft tissue. Taking vitamin D without adequate vitamin K2 may contribute to arterial calcification over time. If you supplement with vitamin D at doses above 2000 IU per day, consider pairing it with 100 to 200 micrograms of MK7 form vitamin K2. Fat-soluble vitamins A and E taken together can compete for the same absorption and transport mechanisms. If you take both, consider alternating them, rather than always taking them simultaneously. High-dose fish oil omega-3 supplements, at doses above 3 grams of combined EPA and DHA daily, have meaningful anticoagulant effects. If you take any prescription blood thinner, aspirin therapy, or have a bleeding disorder, discuss high-dose omega-3 supplementation with your doctor before beginning. Now let us look at the most powerful foods for actively supporting liver and kidney recovery and protection. If you have been supplementing incorrectly for a significant period, these foods can help your body repair damage and restore function more efficiently. For the liver, cruciferous vegetables are the most potent dietary tool available. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, and cabbage contain sulforaphane and indole 3-carbonyl, compounds that powerfully upregulate phase 2 liver detoxification enzymes. This enhanced phase 2 activity means your liver can process and neutralize toxic compounds more efficiently, reducing the accumulation of reactive intermediates that cause hepatocyte damage. Lightly steam or blanch cruciferous vegetables, rather than boiling them, since excessive heat destroys myrosinase, the enzyme needed to activate sulforaphane from its precursor. Garlic, ideally chopped or crushed and allowed to rest for 10 to 15 minutes before cooking to maximize allicin formation, activates both phase 1 and phase 2 liver enzymes, and provides direct antioxidant protection to hepatocytes. Beets contain betaine, a compound that improves hepatic fat metabolism, reduces homocysteine, and protects against fatty liver development. Clinical studies have documented significant reductions in ALT and AST with regular beet consumption over 8 weeks. For the kidneys, adequate hydration is the single most important daily practice. Your kidneys need sufficient fluid volume to dilute the waste products and metabolites they are filtering, and to prevent crystal formation in the tubules. Aim for at least 1.5 to 2 liters of water daily, and increase this meaningfully if you are taking high-dose water-soluble vitamins, since their metabolites increase the kidney's filtration burden. Berries, particularly cranberries and blueberries, offer specific kidney protection. Cranberry proanthocyanidins prevent bacteria from adhering to urinary tract epithelium, reducing urinary tract infection risk and the associated risk of ascending kidney infection. Blueberry anthocyanins reduce renal oxidative stress directly. Parsley contains apial and flavonoids with mild diuretic properties that facilitate waste clearance through the kidneys. Let us close with the most important message of this video. Every supplement you take passes through your liver and kidneys. Every compound your liver must process uses enzyme capacity that could otherwise be available for endogenous functions. Every metabolite your kidneys must filter and excrete adds to the daily burden those organs carry. The fasted state removes all the protective buffering that food normally provides, amplifying concentrations, accelerating absorption, and eliminating the competitive dynamics that keep individual compounds from reaching toxic thresholds. This does not mean you should stop taking supplements. It means you should take them intelligently. Confirm your deficiencies with blood testing before supplementing. Take supplements with appropriate meals. Keep your supplement list as short as your actual needs require. Use cycling to give your organs recovery time. Learn which supplements interact and manage those interactions deliberately. And if you take prescription medications, never add supplements without discussing it with your prescribing physician or a pharmacist who can review your full medication list. Your liver processes roughly 1.4 liters of blood per minute every minute of every day without rest. Your kidneys filter your entire blood volume more than 50 times per day. These are extraordinary organs doing extraordinary work. The respect you show them in how you supplement, how you hydrate, and how you eat will determine whether they continue performing at that level for the rest of your life, or whether they slowly, quietly, and irreversibly decline under a burden they were never meant to carry. If this video has been useful to you, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below telling us which supplement change you are going to make first. If you are taking prescription medications or managing an existing health condition, please speak with your doctor before making changes to your supplement regimen. The information in this video is educational and is not a substitute for individualized medical advice. We will see you in the next video.